everybody, so today I'm going to be explaining a little bit about the Team Take and Make bags. So when you get it, you'll have to open it up, and you'll get a few things inside. Careful when you dump it out. I dumped the beads all over my desk, and I'm still picking them up off my floor. There'll just be a whole bunch of different kind of beads and stuff, and yeah, they will go everywhere. And so I'm going to explain a few of the ways that you can make these bracelets, but really looking them up and learning them on your own is really the fun thing to do. So in the bag, you will get a few things. You will get some beads, obviously. You'll get 4 tips from embroidery floss, and this little pattern booklet that will kind of help you start off. So the first one I'm going to show you is the braided one, and it's a really simple one to do. Once you figure it out, then it kind of gets your hands used to working with the embroidery floss. So what I did first was I took 3 colors and I cut the string to the length I wanted. I did like double my wrist plus a little bit more, just to make sure it was the right length. And when I say plus a little bit more, I mean it was like really triple my wrist. And I took 3 colors. And then I tied a knot at the top and made sure it was nice and super tight. And then I took my scissors and I cut the little loop I made, because then I had 2 strings of each color. And so then I went and got some tape to tape it to my desk. Eventually, I did end up just putting the top in my mouth and braiding it that way. Can't advocate for that, but taping it to the desk, or eventually I use a binder clip to clip it to like a random cord by my desk. That worked too. And I put on some music because sometimes it just takes a little bit to, it takes a little while to do these, so putting on some just fun music to listen to them. So you're going to separate the 3 colors to start. And I'm going to zoom in my camera a little bit so I can show you here. And so then you're going to take the red one and you're going to loop it over the pink one. So obviously, like, you're going to have different colors, but for my thing, you're going to take the one color and loop it over. So red over pink, then blue over red. And then let's just do that again. Red over pink, blue over red, pink over blue. And then you're going to kind of just make sure that it's nice and tight, which is why you tape it to the desk. And then, once again, you're going to do red over pink, blue over red, pink over blue. And then eventually you can just put them in your hands and you just kind of swap each color individually to your hand. So you hold one in your one hand and then just pull the next one over, and you'll eventually kind of get a rhythm going. And I tried so hard to get it to stick to my desk. I really did. But this tape was just not good tape. But as you can see, you just kind of hand them from each hand. And just kind of go. If you've braided hair before, this is kind of a simple way of doing it. And then so you just hand the pink over to the other hand, then hand the red over to the other hand, then hand the blue over to the other hand. And eventually you just get this pretty little braid. And then you're going to tie a knot at the end once you are done. And that will just kind of secure everything in place and make sure that your braid, or whatever beautiful design you've done, does not come out. And it's this kind of, it's kind of cute. And then you're going to take your wrist and you're going to wrap it around. And you're going to hold one side with your hand and take the other one, loop it underneath, and then you're going to tie a knot. And you could get somebody to help you with this. Just, if you don't, then just tie it on yourself. And then you just want to pull it nice and tight. And then you just cut off the excess. And it's a little tricky to do this part. Just why you'll see. It's very awkward to do. Which is why it's very helpful to just have somebody to help you with it. But if you don't, then, just struggle through it for a little bit like I did. And, like, you don't have to cut off the excess, and you can cut it big enough that it slides right off your wrist. I just like to wear them tight to my wrist, so then they just stay on forever until they eventually just wear out and fall off. And then, so I'm actually going to show you how to do the other two, but I'm going to show you the basics of it, and then you'll be able to go from there, or maybe you'll just be able to make it easier one. So I'm going to show you how to do the basics of the chevron one, and the chevron heart and the asymmetrical chevron, because they're pretty much the same. You just need to follow the specifics on the actual page, or look up some other ones, or just do straight chevrons. Like, you don't have to do a fancy one. So once again, you're gonna take the string and you are going to cut it to match. And so I ended up using 2 different colors. So I used this kind of, well, I was gonna use blue and red, and then I'm like, nah, I want to use black and red. And so you're gonna cut it the exact same way that you did before. Just make sure that you cut 4 of each color, or depending on what else you're doing, maybe cut like 6, you just need to have equal amount of each color is basically what you need to do for chevrons. But you also don't even have to have 2 colors, you can have like 6 colors. Like, if you have more than the embroidery floss and the thing, like, go for it. Put as many colors as you want in it. But so basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna move the beads out of the way again, and you're gonna line them up so that it's every other color. And so here you'll see I have 3 of each color. I eventually decided I wanted 4, and so I just cut new string. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the I was doing the little I was just doing a little way to start it, just to kind of get it back to the top. But basically what you're gonna do, honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just doing, the fun thing with friendship bracelets is you can really just do whatever you want and just make fun little designs and stuff. Just tie cool knots in it. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take one side and you're gonna just go all the way to the other side until you get into the middle. And that's how you kind of make the diamond chevron shape, which is what you need for the heart. Is you're gonna do what I do, and you're gonna take one from each side, tie knots on each one, send them up to the top. Currently I have my lava lamp waiting down the one side, but you can use tape on your desk, and then I eventually switched to the binder clip. But you're basically gonna go from one side to the other, and then here I'll kind of show you what I did eventually as well, because then you can also just go start on one side, tie a knot on every single one to go to the other side, and then just go back to the other side and send them all the way through again. So you're only tying knots from one side, like starting at one side only, or you can go back and forth if you want like a line instead of a chevron kind of shape. But chevrons, you kind of go from either side to the middle, and just keep going further into the middle, and you'll make this kind of triangle shape. And you can see it takes quite a little while to do. If you just want like a diagonal line, you're going to start on one side and just go straight across, and then just keep doing that straight across, and you'll eventually end up with a diamond shape. If you want just straight lines, you're going to go straight across one way and then straight across the other way. Just kind of what I'm doing, where you just take you just tie 2 strings together and then send them up to the top, and then tie 2 strings together again and then send them up to the top. And yeah, and you know, you could start doing a chevron pattern and then just totally decide that you want to do a different pattern in the middle of the bracelet. I do that all the time. This one, I believe I was looking at it for a little bit, and then I decided, nope, you know what? I'm gonna just start tying knots. And then, like, because sometimes, like, the funnest bracelets are the ones that just are complete chaos. So you can follow patterns and make the cool ones that, like, look, like, fancy. But honestly, I used to wear these bracelets all the time when I was, like, 14, and I had like 20 of them on my wrist, and none of them were consistent patterns. Not a single one of them were consistent patterns. And so you can see kind of here, like, and then I was like, you know what, let's just tie some knots. Let's just, you know. And so I just took it. And then I decided to put a bead on it at the end. And it looked kind of cool. And I just made like this little keychain thing instead of a bracelet. So the way that you put beads on is I actually ended up getting a paper clip because I found it was the easiest thing. It was like the thinnest thing that I had. And then I just kind of stuck it through the bead. So I took like, I didn't go like the middle, but I didn't put the very end through the bead. I took it to a little bit so it was just straight string and then pushed it through there. And it takes a lot of trial and error getting it through the beads, and it's gonna be frustrating. Like, embroidery floss just doesn't want to go through, and beads can be frustrating sometimes, and that's okay. And so you could put the beads in the middle, or you could just tie a knot at the end and then just send them through, and just like that. Or an easier way to do it is take a single thread and just pull it apart until you get just the one little thread. So if you were going to do some embroidery, this is how you take apart the thread. And you do that like that, and then you just send it through the bead, and it would go through a lot easier. And then I like to tie a little knot on mine to kind of just hold it there. Super tight knots is the key to this, is just very, very tight knots. Yeah, and then I decided, I was like, oh, let's put some more beads in. But really, the whole point of this is to make them just as unique and individual as you are, because really, at the end of the day, these bracelets are for you, or for a friend, or for a family member. So they don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be consistent. They don't need to be anything but exactly what you want them to look like. And if you make them and they don't look like what you want them to look like, then just try again. Or just be like, you know what? This is cool. I made so many bracelets that just were never the way I liked them, and so I just gave them to other people. And yeah. And so back to the video at hand. So you're gonna, when you're putting the beads on, you can just send them right through. You may have more beads than me. You're gonna drop the beads everywhere. My hands are very shaky, so it was kind of difficult to do. But licking the thread helps, and so does cutting it, and all kinds of things like that. And so you can look up different types of ways to make bracelets. Literally just Google friendship bracelet patterns, and it will show up. Or you can follow the ones that I provided in the craft bags, which are kind of cool ones. Yeah. And then, you can use the beads, you can make keychains, you can make bracelets, you can make necklaces, you can make rings. Really, whatever you want is what's most important in this kind of craft, is just doing what you want to do. And doing what, you think looks cool. And yeah, so as you can see, I messed up these beads a lot, because when you get to the end one, you want to tie it again around the end bead just to hold it in place. I had this really tiny thing I was working with, so it was kind of hard to do. But if you have more beads on, it will be a little easier, and then you can actually just tie the two ends together too, because then you don't need to go through all of this. But then yeah, you can end up with a cute little keychain and some bracelets and all kinds of cool things. So yeah, make sure to check out the patterns and see if you can follow those along and help out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye!